Hey, Jonathan here at TopSaw. Today's video I'm going to compare the Dewalt 5-inch random orbit sander and the Porter Cable 5-inch random orbit sander. In addition to comparing these two and talking a little bit about getting the best performance out of these, I'm also going to go over how to change out the pads when the pad gets worn Alright, what we're doing right now is we're building cutting boards in high school wood shop. And the student says to me, he's like, what are all these black marks on my cutting board from? And I go over, he's been sanding for half an hour with a random orbital sander with no sandpaper on there. So this Velcro here is about as smooth as a baby's bottom. It won't hold the pad on here at all. So I got a new Velcro pad right here on Amazon. This is an off-market brand. These are really inexpensive. I'll put a link to them in the description. So this pad's completely worn out from sanding continuously without sandpaper on here. To replace them is really easy. It's a T20 Torx. And you could hand screw them out or use a drill driver to pull these bolts out. And then these are all 8-hole pads and 8-hole paper as well. Really one of the biggest issues in sanding is getting the dust away. If you don't remove the dust when you sand, you take away the effectiveness of sanding. They don't actually call this Velcro, this is hook and loop. But you do need to spend some time to make sure these things line up correctly to remove as much dust as possible, to be as effective as possible, and clean out this bag. Usually when I take these things apart, I usually dust them out as well. Kind of cool how they work. You can see it's an eccentric motion in there. And what that does is when you sand, it does not give you that circular pattern. So it gives you a more inconsistent finish so your wood's not scratched up. Then here's a new pad goes on. I like to feel how tight they are without a drill driver, so I usually use a hand driver. So that's how easy it is to replace these Velcro pads. Again, I got these on Amazon. These are not OEM. I haven't found any difference between these and the OEM ones. This is a metal backplate versus a hard plastic backplate, but the Velcro or the hook and loop wear out way before any other part of it. And then the Velcro just goes straight on there. The sanding paper goes straight on there, lining up my holes, and you can see how much more effective that is. Won't come off at all. Here's another one. Here's my Dewalt, and you can see on this one, the whole hook and loop piece is delaminating from the pad. So I'm going to replace this one as well. And they have the same pad, the same number 20 T20 Torx on it. Whole same scenario. You can see on the back here it's this metal pad. And then this one's a plastic pad. But this isn't the fail point. You know, in this case, the hook and loop was worn out from somebody sanding without sandpaper, and then in this one, it just got worn out because it's starting to delaminate. A lot of times when they come up off of the corners, you know, sanding like this and bumping these edges, that's what wears that pad out. But these are interchangeable on both. I dust it all off. I did the other one. Now I'll put this new pad on, and then I'll compare these two sanders. Here's a Porter Cable random orbital sander. I have the new hook and loop pad on there. I'm going to put a brand new 120 grit sandpaper on here. I'll just put a couple pencil marks on the cutting board. You'll see this thing works really nice. And then usually what I do is I work my grit up. So I started at 120, a 180, and I finished with the 220. You can see how quickly that thing sands when it's dust free, a new hook and loop pad, a new sandpaper on there, and a clean dust bag. Versus the Dewalt works almost identically the same. I'll put a brand new 120 pad on it and sand, and you'll see that they're really very, very comparable, kind of same way. Really identical sanding performance, identical motions on both of them, identical dust control, identical switches on both of them. They kind of wear out. I've run through a lot of these, as you can imagine, with a classroom of 30 kids in a wood shop. Okay, so I usually keep 3 of these random orbital sanders in the shop. I have one with kind of a coarse grit on it, something like an 80 or 100, and the student starts there. Then I have like a medium grit at 150, and then a final grit, a fine grit, and maybe 220, and then a finished sander. So I usually keep three of them in the shop, and rather than have the students trade out the sandpaper, I just have them labeled on there, fine, coarse. This is a Porter Cable 382. It's under $50 on Amazon. And then this is a Dewalt. I looked for this one on Amazon. This is a DW421. They no longer sell it. There's a new random orbit sander Dewalt has. It's a little bit more than the Porter Cable. The cord length on both of them is about the same. The feel in the hands is really, ergonomics feel in my hands are about the same. But I will say over time, I'd have to give the Porter Cable a better review. They just hold up better. I mean, it's really a no-frills orbit sander. And as you can imagine, 30 kids in a wood shop, they beat these things to death. And I would say over time, this Porter Cable probably holds up a little bit better than the Dewalt. So if I had to pick, I'd probably get these Porter Cables. Let me bring that camera in closer, and I'll put new sandpaper on both of these. So this is actually a Dewalt 150 grit, brand new paper on here. And I'll put a brand new grit on here. I did just clean them both out, and I'll bring the camera in close. I'll plug them both in, and I'll mark up this beautiful cutting board a student has going. And I'll mark it up with pencil, and we'll see which one does a better job sanding. And you'll see that the performance is actually pretty much the same. The big difference is really the durability over time. Okay, so I'm going to mark up this maple with the pencil mark. And this one, try and do it as consistently as I can. I use the Dewalt on the right one here, the Porter Cable on the left one. I'll do it at the same time, and hopefully you could see those pencil marks and the rate that they change at. One thing also I'll mention on these orbital sanders is you don't push hard down on there, you just gently hold them. When you hold them down hard, you prohibit them from that motion. So again, I don't know if you could see any difference in sanding quality. They both sand pretty much the same sort of speeds, same sort of ergonomics, same features. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed that video. Not too much difference there. I'll put links in the description to the sanders and the pads and the sandpaper if you want any of that. If you like this video, go ahead and hit subscribe if you would. Hit the likes. I'd really like to hear your comments below. Thanks for watching.